Good afternoon to each and everyone. Friends, I welcome you all to this a session which is meant for a non-technical things around us. Naturally, everyone wants to succeed in the life, and the success mantra which is coming directly from the industry's top leadership today will be giving us a direction to achieve differently in our career, in our life, professional journey, which we are targeting for. Friends, uh, on behalf of each one of you and on behalf of myself, my co-chairman, and the committee as a whole, I welcome Pinky Mehta, who happens to be a CFO with Aditya Birla Capital, Sanjay Agarwal ji, CFO of Jyoti Labs, Vineet ji, CFO of the Mindtree Limited, Ninad Karpe ji, who is a partner with 100x VC. 100 times we want to grow with, though we normally talk about the 1 into 10, we want to grow by 10. But today you will be getting how 100 can be achieved with. And the moderator with us will be Rajeshri with us, and my co-chairman Durgesh Kabraji, who is from the capital, not the political capital or capital of the country, but the capital which carries the economy, which carries the finance for the globe, for the country also. So from Mumbai, we have with us Durgesh Kabraji. Friends, I welcome each one of you as a participants also. Naturally, with an objective, कि we all have to become more stronger, more in achievable achievers in the time to come. The success has a meaning which may be different for you, for me it may be different, but the success carries some kind of the understanding कि how it has to be created and the crafted by having been a fuel of the human desire in ourselves, a burning desire which makes us to move with, whether by way of the having the principle of the hard work, whether it is the disciplined behavior or the determination in our mind or the vision to be developed with. Well said by so many. The vision is the first step, or understanding by oneself, by understanding of the strength and the weakness and the challenges and the opportunities around us. That makes the difference. The first is the understanding. If you are with clear understanding what you are lacking for, where you are strong enough, then paving the way by getting away from the weaknesses and coming closer to the strength. That is the simple methods, and we understand the vision to be developed and how vision can be developed with, and the vision can be converted into the mission and the goals, then making a strategy accordingly so that we ultimately achieve the goal of our life, which has been visualized by each one of us. Friends, with these words, I once again welcome each one of you, and now I'll request my co-chairman Durgesh Kabraji for his word of wisdom. Going forward, the session will be taken forward. I'll request Durgesh ji also to please brief about each and every our speakers and the moderator also. Over to Durgesh ji.
Thank you, Chairman sir. It's indeed a pleasure to be a part of this webinar, which is on success mantra by the top leaders of the industry who are into the different kind of industry, and they are chartered accountant and they are leading from the front. To begin with, Ninad Karpezi is there, Pinky ji is there, Pinky Mehta ji is there, Sanjay Agarwal ji is there, and Vineet Desai ji is there. So all these four are going to lead today the discussion, and the discussion is about success mantra. And when the discussion will be there on the success mantra, their success journey in the organizations where they are serving, in the organizations which has been promoted by them. So how that organization has grown, whether it is promoted by them or whether they are with them. So those success secret of these four will be there, and that will be moderated by none other than Rajeshri. And I am sure the moderation, the important role is of always moderator. How the success stories of all these four people comes out, and how the all listeners gets the best out of it. And friends, before they speak something to you about the success, I thought I must also have some of my views on the success. And as I
एक्सटेंशन
believe
बोर्ड है इसके
that
पास मेरी
success,
सीट पे तो डाल दो
please keep mute, everybody. Success is a journey, not a destination. This is what I believe personally, and hopefully all others will be of the same opinion, maybe different opinion. I don't say, but this is my opinion. And friends, I feel that it is often said that success occurs when preparation meets opportunity. Now, the opportunities will undoubtedly present themselves with time, but how you are treating yourself through all the time spent in preparation for accomplishing your goals in the meantime, that is important. Now, the thing is, you should always ask one question, and what is that? The key questions to keep asking is, are you spending your time on the right things? Time is all, friends, you have, and you may find one day that you have less than you think, which all these four stalwarts are feeling today. Are you giving yourself a credit for the work and the energy that it takes to become more successful individual? A major aspect of success equations has to do with being good to yourself. That is most important. If you are not good to yourself, then probably you'll not be able to be good to the others also. So being good to yourself, treating yourself with kindness and encouragement along your life journey, it's important to celebrate all victories, large and small, on the journey towards fulfilling your dreams. It all begins with recognizing that you are a successful individual right now, and your success can only go up from here. Correct? So you are successful, but now your success is increasing. Dear, all the participants, simply having the determination to pursue your happiness, your goals, and your dreams is a massive success in itself. It takes an incredible amount of courage to wake up every morning and keep moving and keep motivating yourself to work towards the life that you have always imagined living. The preparation part of the success equation, your journey should be celebrated, for success is not a simply destination. Success is not something that we arrive at one day. Success is everything to do with your individual day-to-day choices, actions, and experiences, no matter how big or small they are. Success has to do with being true to who you are and how you choose to respond to a very circumstances that occurs in your life. You know you are on the right track when you have no interest in looking back. That is most important. Once you think of looking back, means you are not on the right track. So remember that feeling successful has much to do with how you personally define the success. Ask yourself, how do you define your success? For example, which I feel is there can be, do you define success as having more in your life, more money, more recognition, more material items? Or do you define success according to the people's standard? Or do you define success as feeling happy with who you are, being happy with your choices, and being grateful for all that you have in your life today? And to shift your focus from thinking of success as being something that is always out of your reach, or something which involves constantly wanting or needing more or keeping up with other people, and focus instead on being grateful and happy for who you are and what you have right now. And there is so much to be grateful for. isn't it there? That one has to think of. There is so much to be grateful, and if we are grateful to that, that is going to help you a lot in achieving the success. Whatever it is you might be going through right now, regardless of how challenging it may be, there is always much to be thankful for. Whatever challenges are there, don't worry. But there are a lot many other things for those things you should always be thankful. Be grateful for who you are and fully appreciate your individuality and all that you have in your life now. Do the very best that you can with what you have now, with at the same time striving towards becoming an even better version of yourself that you were yesterday. So stop comparing yourself with others. Always compare with yourself so you can become better than what were you yesterday. Have faith and always believe that you will achieve anything you set out to do. That is most important. The faith, the hope is most important. Life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. There is a huge difference between a dog that is going to eat you in your mind and an actual dog that's going to eat you. So a dog which eats you in mind is much bigger than that create more problem than a dog which really eats you. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. And that you might have seen in Three Idiots kind of movie also. The biggest motivator is yourself. The day your inner self is awakened towards any goal, nobody can stop you from reaching to that particular goal. My belief is that luck favors those who have the passion to win. If you don't have the passion to win, then in all directions there are only excuses. Only excuses. Besides that, nothing is there. कभी हिम्मत मत हारो. आप कभी नहीं जान सकते कि आने वाला कल आपके लिए क्या लाने वाला है. You are a miracle, my friend. There are no one else out there like you. Start to view yourself and your world today being miraculous and trust that you will create anything you set out to do. Albert Einstein rightly said, there are only two ways to live your life. Two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. As though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. So you have to think in that direction. These are the only two ways available to live your life. And friends, जिंदगी वही है जो आज हम जिलें. जिंदगी वही है जो आज हम जिलें. कल जो जिएंगे वो उम्मीद होगी. कल जो जिएंगे वो उम्मीद होगी. How do you want to live your life? I leave this thought before all of you, and you will be learning from all these four panelists who are a successful people. To all of us, you will learn from their life, their success story. Thank you all for giving me a patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Durgesh Bhai, for such a wonderful, remarks, or rather, the success, how it can be achieved, and it has to be taken forward. Friends, we have with us the moderator. I'll introduce, and the subsequent to the moderator being introduced, she can introduce if she has the biodata of the others as panelist. Moderator with us is Rajeshri Subnavis. She is a founder of Rajeshri Subnavis and Associates, specializing in tax advisory and transaction tax matters, and has over 20 years of the experience in advising clients on their cross-border acquisitions and the implementation of the India business strategy for multinationals. She also advises multinationals, including Fortune 500 companies, in the areas of the tax and transfer pricing, and has assisted large Indian companies in implementing their transfer pricing across jurisdiction in the ITES sector. He works with some of the large portfolio investors investing in India, including some of the large institutions investors in managing their tax compliance and the litigation in India. Now I'll request Rajeshri to take over the session and carry it forward in the best interest, uh, best of the speakers or the panelists around us. I'll request you to take this forward. Rajeshri, over to you.
Thank you so much. Speaking, everybody else is just requested to put themselves on mute. Durgesh, if you can put yourself on mute, please. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. A very warm good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to all of you on this Monday evening. And I hope all is well and safe at your end. We have assembled today to listen carefully to stories that each of our esteemed panelists will be sharing with us, with all of us. And I'm sure these will stay with us. Because the best way, something that I have learned over the years is that when you try to give advice or you want to, suggest something, it's always best. And we pick from stories and essentially best way of connecting, motivating, and reaching out. You'll also see until a more powerful story comes your way, and you never know, it could be yours. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to our esteemed panelists. I will start with Srinath Karpe, who will share his journey. He will, introduce himself, talk about himself, and as I said, to listen to their success stories, their challenges, their difficulties, how do they overcome those challenges, and where it's basically when we talk about Atmanirbhar and we talk about startups and all that. Listen to the story coming from Ninath, who started off in his career. Ninath.
Thank you for inviting me. I will be very brief, and I hope all of you can listen to me. Yes, it's rather humbling to be called for this session of our Mother Institute Chartered Accountants as being successful. For me, success is a journey, not a destination. So I'm still in that journey. But yes, it is indeed humbling to be invited to join this panel. In brief, after my CA, actually I did around 12-13 years of consulting practice. In the last part of my practice, I specialized, this was post-1991, I specialized in consulting for companies outside India, and that's how I joined Computer Associates. It's a $4-5 billion software product company. I was their CEO for 13 years. Then I joined Aptech, which is a listed Indian company. Then a year and a half, I wrote a book on business strategies. It's a 120-page book. I took 7 years to write. Last 1.5 years I was actually writing. My son tells me it's a poor record, Dad. 7 years to write 120 pages. But yes, it was an interesting experience. And last 2 years, I'm full-time partner in 100x.vc. 100x is a VC firm. It's an early stage VC firm. We invest via something we call iSafe notes. I won't get into technical details. We already invested in 50 startups in the last 24 months. Our intention is to invest in 100 early stage startups as the first institutional investor. That's what we plan to do from next year onwards. I have a serious second profession, and that is I support Marathi theatre. So I have produced 2 Marathi plays. So weekends normally always goes. Of course, it's stopped now. and I wanted to support theatre, so there I am. So again, I'll be happy and delighted to share my views and thoughts, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to respond to them as well. Thank you, Rajeshri.
Thank you, Ninad, for that. And but while clearly what comes out from your story, at least what I managed to pick up, is that dream big. There's nothing that you cannot achieve if we are determined to get. And switching over to industry, taking over the role of a CEO in a corporation, and then getting on to scaling that up. So scaling up and sustaining it. Okay, I think sustenance is something which normally is always a challenge. What would your thoughts around sustainability be? When I talk of sustainability, is also times of given the current difficult business environment, or given what's going on around us, in the economy in general. What would your thoughts, or what is it that you would like to, just generally share your views in terms of how would you deal with this? How would Ninad deal with this?
Sure, thanks. Pretty direct question. How would Ninad deal with it? Yes, here I go, Rajeshri.
Yeah.
I wish I was qualifying as a CA today. There's world of opportunity. Absolutely amazing. The last big opportunity came to us.
Sorry, just one thing. Rajesh, can you put yourself on mute, please? Request participants to please put yourself on mute, including on the speakers. Thank you. Yeah, Ninad, please.
So the last big opportunity came in 91. Post-liberalization, lot of opportunities threw up, and a lot of people obviously have done well, including our profession. We have done exceedingly well, and that was a big opportunity. This is the next big opportunity happening. I'll talk more about it later, but the way we are seeing startups mushrooming everywhere, the way impact technology is having. In simple words, you have to ride on what technology has to offer. Technology cannot be something reluctantly which you embrace. Those days of saying I'm tech illiterate and feeling very romantic about it is over. You are no longer romantic, you are dead. If you say that I am a tech illiterate, you have to might as well say I'm dead for the world. So I think the way to sustain your skills, the way to ensure that you ride all what is happening, is to ensure that you're on top of all that is happening in the technology world. Technology is magic. It can do whatever you want it to do. And it cannot happen that you take it as something as an afterthought. So you have to keep upgrading your skills. You're not innately taught about it. CA as a profession does not have technical skills as as you learn along, but you have to learn it. Look at what is happening to the banking and fintech sector, and we can talk more about it in detail if you want me to. But banks no longer call themselves as banks. They are saying we are in the technology business. Banking is on top of that. CAs have to say, will I hear someone saying, I am not a chartered accountant, I am I am in the technology business, and my services of CA are slapped on top of it. That is what will make you sustainable. That is what will make you really successful. This is really a game changer, the way technology is happening, and the way we are seeing the spark of so much entrepreneurship, and the amount of startups we are seeing, the amount of innovation we are seeing. We have never seen it, and these are the next 1 or 2 years where we'll see so much innovation if you do not embrace. Where in the world you could have imagined that there are 3-4 startups which are taking over large companies? Just 2 days back, we heard of a startup taking over an established listed diagnostic company. Before that, a startup got a banking license. Before that, a startup took over a mutual fund business. What is happening? Are we not seeing what is happening? You have to see it. I'll leave it at that, Rajeshri. I can talk more about it in detail. Look at the innovation happening. Don't ensure that you're on top of tech business. Tech is not an afterthought. All of you should be technologists and then chartered accountant, not the reverse.
Is my takeaway from this is learning is the constant. And essentially, we've got to move with what's happening around us, and technology being, of course, the one big mega change that is taking place, and it's been taking place over the past, I would say, more than a decade for now. Now it shows, because fortunately, unfortunately, the pandemic has taught us a lot, and it has taught us that what is important is that if you have good technology and if you invested in good technology, you will survive. You will not only survive, you will also grow. Thank you for that, Ninad. I will come back to you. I will circle back to you. We will now essentially just move on. When I say move on, basically just go to another decade. And here is where I bring in Sanjay Agarwal. Okay. Sanjay, I would love to hear about you. Introduce yourself. I mean, talk about yourself, because we want to know who Sanjay Agarwal is. We want to hear your story, Sanjay. Your challenges, and of course, when I talk about challenges, it's the ground reality. I think because all of us, we are all chartered accountants first. The very thin line between doing what is right and the pressures that we do come across in our daily lives, right? It could be from parties, it could be from, given the fact that it's the largest democracy, you have state regulators, you have central regulators, you will have, and when I talk about regulators, it's not just the governing bodies, but also the parties and the political parties, and that's life, and that's business, right? So how would you kind of something around this, if you could talk about, and we are all ears. Over to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Rashri. Thank you. And as Ninad said, really want to thank our alma mater, ICAI, for inviting us today on this platform. So I'll be quick and to the point. I think things which shaped my life, I just want to give 3 stories. The first one is, after my foundation course, I joined a CA firm called Kalani & Company in Jaipur, Rajasthan. I belong to that city. And there's a very renowned CA firm, Kalani & Company, and the main partner is CL Jhawar Saab, who is no more there, but a very well-known chartered accountant. On my first day of articleship, I was in his room standing in one corner, and he asked me, "Why have you come?" And I said, "Sir, I've come here for doing 3 years articleship." He said, "No." And then for next 1 hour, he was doing his meeting, and I was standing in one corner. And then again, he asked me, "What have you come for?" I said, "Articleship." So 3 years articleship. So he again started his next meeting. I was still standing in that one corner of the large room. Again after 1 hour, so 4 hours I was standing. And then at the lunch hour when he was going out, he asked me, "Why have you come?" And I said, "Sir, I've come for articleship." He said, "Go back to our CA Institute, the articleship course curriculum, and it says," and I want everybody to hear this, it is called Regress Training. You have come for 3 years of rigorous articleship. That, my friends, shook me, and that made me regress in everything what I do. So I think that first day of my life changed my life forever. I was just out of college, rank holder foundation student, was feeling good about myself. And so one important message I learned from our CA Institute and through CL Jhawar Saab, that with his blessings and guidance, I think he reshaped my life. So one important message is, whatever all the future CAs who are listening, CA course actually gives you the opportunity of doing a rigorous training in life, and we are fortunate because we get to do not only learn books, I mean the theory part of it, but we also learn the practical part of it, and we also get earn money during the process, right? So we also get stipend to do all this work. So very important, rigorous training, I think, is a very important word which we should remember. The second is second story is when I moved from Rajasthan to Bombay to do my articleship and I joined Arthur Andersen. There again, the second person which changed my life is Mr. Richard Reiki. He was a partner with Arthur Andersen, and he was a CEO for KPMG India for many years. He only taught me one thing early in my life, that always help others. Now, when we are doing so well in life, we always forget this basic instinct of helping others. And he taught us not only to help others in a personal life and professional life. For him, finding solutions to every problem was the only thing which he taught us. And we think that what can we help? But I think look around, you can help everyone in some form or shape. And trust me, for my personal life, all that whatever you help others always comes back to you. So I think a very, very strong thing that the happiness what you get is immense. And if you ask me, the wealth what we all get by helping others is true success in my definition. So the second story is about helping others. And the third and the most important thing, which actually people who know me know, my career moved from Anderson Consulting to investment banking at Macquarie and Edelweiss, and now I am at Jyoti Labs as a CFO. It's an FMCG company. And people ask me, how is it possible that you have been able to move from very different domain? I think this third characteristic was instilled in me by my mother and my uncles, that you need to be flexible in life. Because by being able to mold yourself in all situations, they actually made my entire career for life. Because who knew at that point of time that I would be doing so many different things in my life? Because they taught me you can learn every time. It's not that we have completed a CA or any other professional degree that we are now professors. I think very important, we need to remain student. And also, each of the jobs which I did, obviously I had to start from scratch, and then I have built something great. So very important, remain flexible in your life and always be ready to dirty your hands. Not because we have become CAs and we are in some large positions that we will not go on the ground and do things. So I think that is very, very clear. 3 messages from me: regress training, help others, and be flexible. I think these are 3 things which shaped my life, and I'm very thankful for the people who helped me in what I am today. And as the topic today says, success mantras, I think success and failures both will come. If we think only success will come, then I think we are cheating ourselves. And more often than not, it is failures which will teach you much more than success. But yes, we should work hard, we should help others, we should be flexible, and more often than not, you will get success. So I think that's the very important message I want to give. To the second part, actually, you asked me that while you are in profession, what are those challenging situations you face? And I think somewhere, I will give you an example. Last year, March 23rd, 2020, when the COVID situation happened, we are a FMCG company. We deal with thousands of distributors and thousands of vendors. And on 23rd of March, the only situation, I'm sure all of us would, even our personal life, our businesses, was to conserve cash. Because we didn't know how this pandemic will go and how will our businesses shape. And 31st March was coming so close. So at one situation, you didn't know how you will do your sales. And at other situation was to conserve all the cash what you have. Now, how differently we did was, we said, no, we will go all out and support all our vendors. Because these are the vendors who have been with us for last 35 years. And we disbursed 100 odd crores in that last week so that they could end up paying salaries to their employees. They could meet their commitments. Because we are cash rich and we know how to manage our balance sheet. But then they will never be able to do that and they'll be out of the business. So it was not, so as a finance professional, the first thing will be to stop paying everybody and just conserve everything. But we did the other thing. Why? Because we are in business, we are in relationships. Because, and just, after 1 month when things became little normal, we were the first one to get the raw materials. Because as you would know, at that time, the raw materials were scarce. So relationship, one act what we did helped us in building the relationship for lifelong with all these people. So it is sometimes not only numbers, it is much more, and relationship is what we need to keep in mind. So I think that's very important. And again, I will go back to our CA Institute, because I think CA Institute is like a Krishna. It is helping us. It teaches us everything, and it teaches us focus, and then we need to do a karma. So again, thanks to our CA Institute and all the professionals who are listening today, that we have been very blessed to be with an institute and getting groomed. All my success stories or the stories I've already shared, and more than happy to answer any further queries, questions you have.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sanjay. That be quite interesting. You've actually been through. Clearly, one takeaway to me is like, do not lose sight of who has do not lose sight of the people who've actually helped you get to where you are, right? And that is where, and you apply that principle across. You can apply that in business, you can apply that in personal life, you can apply that in your professional that you do not lose sight of people who are actually you get to where you are in your professional life. It is extremely important and becomes very critical, and not, I don't mean to say for the others it's not, but it is something which we really need, and we really kind of leverage when as I move on to my next panelist, okay, Mrs. Pinky Mehta. She is a CFO of Aditya Birla Capital. I would obviously want her to introduce herself, talk about her journey, because this is a journey of somebody who has literally, okay, in the true terms, broken the glass ceiling, okay, in a company which, there are cultural issues, and that is something, again, which is ground reality. Let's not shy away from that. This is here, and this is how we are. We are Indians. We would want people to manage homes. We would want people to manage offices. We would want people to manage kids, their careers, their difficulties, everything. And at the same time, keep an eye on the balance sheet and ensure that the EPS in the share market or the stakeholder expectations are not really compromised. So here is somebody who clearly has been through it all, who's done that, been there. And over to you, Pinky. We would want to hear from you in your own words, your success story.
Thanks, Rashri, for the kind introduction. Good evening, everyone. Fortunately, though even coming from the conservative Gujarati business community family, where the ladies are not, I'm talking about the 80s, because I'm an old timer of the CA. The thing is that my family always encouraged me for the higher education because I was too bright in my studies, But the only condition which my father kept it at that point in time, if you will fail one attempt in CA, then I will stop it and I will tell you to get married, because in our community, the girls used to get married at 19 and a half and the 20, But with God's grace, I cleared everything in the first attempt. And then I told my father that nobody stepped out in my family, to do a job, because they were not dependent on anybody's money, to be very frank, by God's grace. But then also I put up, since I have studied so much, you allow me. So in fact, I got, interviewed also in the bank, but they put the conditions that 6 months we will be sending you to London, which was a big, big no for my family at that point in time. My father said, I'll allow you to do a job, provided you come with me in the car, go back in the car. So you do whatever you want to learn, anything, because you completed your CA just at the age of 20. So you don't have too much of the experience. So you do it with my chartered accountant and you learn whatever you want to learn in taxations, in audit and all this stuff, because that is also a big firm. So I learned almost for 2 years, the full taxations, how to deal with the department, what kind of assessments, hearings, appeal preparations. Then even they gave me the chance to appear before the commissioner at that point in time, appeals, When I got married, even my in-laws realized there is no point, studied so much to keep me at home. So my mother-in-law was very supportive. My husband was very supportive. My mother-in-law, in fact, took care of all the household things, look after my, kids and all these things. So at least I can, I joined in 1991 Aditya Birla Group, and that was basically typically a Marwari culture. When I joined, I tell you that even the receptionist was male, even the stenotypist was male. They did not have even the ladies' toilet at that point in time. When I got selected, they had to build one ladies' toilet for me, to be very frank. So I was the first in the senior positions in the full Aditya Birla Group where there was a monopoly of the males were there, typically dominated by all the males. The only message I wanted to, I was appointed as an officer and right now I rose as a position. The only message I would like to give you that I have break the glass ceilings. I have taken each and every challenge as an opportunity. I have seized that opportunity. I have come out from my comfort zone, and at many times I am telling you that I have sacrificed even my house needs where it is required that I need to do it. But my husband supported me. If I have to go to the children's school for the results and all, if I got an important meeting in the office, then my husband said, even my children said at that point in time that, Mama, don't worry, if one of the parents is accompanying us, it is fine with us. Many times it has happened that my children have fallen sick and all this. But so you need to balance the work life. You should know that where your priority works, whether you require, the priority is at home or your priority is in the office. So if the priority is at home, you must attend to that. And if your priority is office, you must attend to that. So, and let me tell you my journey of Aditya. I joined in 1991 the Indian Rail, which was incubating most of the new businesses. This was a company in which most of the businesses were incubated, and when they reach at certain level, then we used to create the value for the share. So I was a part of the major M&A team looking after, all the aspects of the Companies Act, taxations, indirect tax, FEMA, RBI, SEBI, and all these things. So that gave me, I was a part of the team, that gave me an, the real opportunity, to look after each and every positions, demerger. The second thing, then in the year 2010, I got the offer from Mr. Birla that I don't have any lady who handles corporate functions. Now, now in Aditya Birla Group, we have a specialized corporate functions. One functions would be for legal, that would give an advice on the legal to everybody. One will be on brand, on, on the excellence and all these things. So this was a management service division, which is an in-house management consultancy for the group. Now, the way I had the experience in Aditya, in Indian Rayon was only on accounts, direct, indirect taxation, secretarial matter. The position which was offered to me, I had to forget all these things. My job was to look after any problems in the logistic, any problem in the marketing, any problem in the all over the Birla Group of companies, whether it is in outside India or inside India, and to do a major procurement in whether it is a coal purchase or whether it is an oil purchase, or to take the full insurance of the group for the property and all. This kind of things was never done by me, It was totally a different portfolio which was being offered to me, which I had never done. I never had, nor I thought that I have experience of dealing with this. But I accepted that challenge because I wanted to be an all-rounder. I did that job for 5 years. That gave me an opportunity to look at each and every Birla Group of companies, and we did an excellent job of in-house, in logistics, in productions, in marketing, whatever the pinpoint areas the businesses had. We helped them, to give them the solutions and all these things. I had a team of 30 people with me. I did it well. Then in the year 2015, I was a CFO of Indian Rayon, which is renamed as an Aditya Birla No Limited, the company in which I spend most of my time, and that was really a thrilling for me. So what I want to tell you all, that success doesn't come like this, There is no substitute to the hard work. And plus, you need to come out from the comfort zone, take some calculated risk, to be very frank, and seize the opportunity. Unless you have a fire in your belly, and the thing is that your management should also help you, apart from your family, apart from your, the near ones, your management. So I was actually blessed that in my group, we religiously, in the sense that we encourage the gender diversity, because what even I personally feel is a woman brings more creativity, more commitment to the table. There is a different perspective in which the woman sees and the problem than the male sees. So it is better. And the overall, the world studies also says that the company in which there is a gender diversity has always given a higher return to the shareholders and even to the market cap, to be very frank. So the only message I wanted to give you, that if you want to rise to the top, that you should come out from the comfort zone. Many things will be there, you would have a commitment. Don't leave it halfway. The thing is that because now you have a commitment for bringing up your children, the alternative options are already available, and now look at it. This in pandemic has really taught us that you don't need to go to the, the office. The technology helped us to, equally, do our job very well from home also, So the message I would like to give to the women who have left their halfway career because of their home commitment is that please hone up your skills. Try to come, again to the, to the job and all these things, because so much, this is the toughest, the degree, the chartered accountancy degree, which is there, and we have spent our, the young life. We have not enjoyed our college life and all these things. So what I feel that, please use your degree and come back to the job. Thanks, Rajesh. Rajeshri,
Thank you
over
so
to you.
much for sharing. Yeah, thank you, Pinky. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. That's truly very inspiring. And I think clearly my takeaway from this was essentially get out of your comfort zone. Okay, there will be challenges, there will be opportunities. It's up to us of how and what you make out of it. You need the support, ask for it. Because sometimes support does not come in easily. You may want to talk about it. You may want to ask for it. You may want to discuss about it. It could be in pretty much maybe your family, maybe your organization. You can do it, and not necessarily that every time you will be successful. It could lead to failures. Doesn't matter, because the point is that is how you learn. You learn from your mistakes, move on in life, because the moment you are stagnant, then you're finished. Move forward, take a step forward, and while back. Believe me, if you go, you and know yourself, because each individual, and we're all professionals, we're all chartered accountants, right? We wouldn't be where we are if we were not good. So have that faith in yourself and have that self-belief and the fact that, yes, you can do it. If I need to take 2 steps back and come forward, and if we believe, I've lost so much of time, doesn't matter. You will make up for it, okay? And believe me, I will touch on this issue again during my second round. But right now, I want, ladies and gentlemen, I want all yours. I will now move on to my next panelist, Vineet Terdesai. Vineet has, started again. Somebody who I was looking at, the changes that have taken place, not just from his career standpoint, of course. His profile itself speaks a lot. He was with KPIT Cummins and then joined Mindtree Consulting. And all of us, okay, being accountants and without losing sight of what's happening in the market, we all know that Mindtree is a part of the $21 billion L&T, largest construction and engineering company. This is a consulting arm. Now, obviously, Mindtree was a lot in the news over 2018-19. Vineet came on board without taking too much of time. I would want Vineet talk about your journey, talk about yourself. How did Vineet actually go through this? It's not easy, okay? And so let's hear what you have to share with us. Over to you, Vineet.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rajeshri. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thanks to the CA Institute for inviting a small person like me on this panel. Though all of you consider us as successful, let me be very honest, we still have a long journey to go. I consider myself on the learning curve. So we are in a position whereby our first job is constant learning, and without which we will not be able to do anything. So my journey, let me just so from an education, I completed my chartered accountancy, I completed my cost and works accountancy. I also went down to US and completed my certified public accountancy. This was just to reinstate that, that passing CA was just not a one-time affair. It was more of you have to constantly keep on learning. And at that point of time, honestly, there was a big difference between how Indian accounting standards were compared to how the global accounting standards were. And last not the least, as late as 5-6 years back, I also went down to MIT Sloan School of Business, because my last 20 years I've been spending in the technology industry. And one of the things I always used to question me that if you don't understand technology, how are you going to make a decision in terms of what checks you are writing? Are you you don't want to be a rubber stamp CFO? So I learned technology, strategy, innovation. I also, at some point of time, wanted to get into a entrepreneurial mode, but let's not get into that way. Let's focus on where we are. I think so. From an academics perspective, honestly, when I look at my academics prior to my SSC versus where I am today, I get surprised many times. I was not at all good in my academics, honestly. And at that point of time, my mother just made me one statement which sort of changed my life. She said, Vineet, make a decision now whether you want to succeed in your life and enjoy the rest of your life, or you want to enjoy now and struggle for the rest of your life. So I think so that was a game-changing statement my mother made, which made me seriously look at a lot of things differently. Obviously, we all come from a very humble middle-class background. And from that point of time to think into this, that game-changer statement made a big difference. After that, I have not looked back. After my chartered accountancy, I came across, I would say, 3 leaders in my last 26 years of my career who have made a big difference. One, Mr. V.S. Raghavan, who was at that point of time the General Manager Finance and Head of Taxation in Bajaj Auto. He's no longer there, but a brilliant person who sort of changed. His main mantra was, think out of the box. And what Bajaj Auto as an organization made me learn was, getting a return on investment. Your money is a precious commodity within a business, and you have to always think and look at return on investment. The second one, a person who made a big difference was Mr. Raj Gopalan. He was CFO for Cognizant India. And he basically gave me an important learning in my life, saying, your title and position in your life should never matter. Take on the risk as far as you are able to present yourself, articulate yourself, and able to put a business case, how to put forward a business case. Because in front of your stakeholders, whether they are shareholders, whether it's board, whether it's other players, most important part is you have to be able to articulate and present yourself well. I think so that brought a big change in my life. And the third one is as late as 2018 with Mr. Kishore Patil, who himself is a chartered accountant, but he's the CEO of KPIT Technologies. His important message to me was trust people. I think so the amount of network and the amount of people connect he has built a fabulous organization, which I don't think so anybody can beat when you look at and watch it closely. Most of my panelists have already spoken about some of the learnings, and I would just say, these are absolutely valid. Constant learning, Don't assume that your journey is going to be a one-way linear expansion or one-way traffic. You will meet failures. And those failures are important because they teach you a lot. And as far as you are able to learn from those mistakes and able to apply them in your life, you will be able to succeed. Third, for all the people who are freshers who will be joining the industry or practice, please remember chartered accountancy is only a entry advantage for you. Beyond this, your capability, your competency, your potential, your ability to do differently and manage the organization's different responsibilities is going to drive down. So don't live under the artificial fear that artificial illusion that I'm a chartered accountant now, everything will be great. Yes, you have a big advantage, big advantage, but don't assume unless until you keep on learning. I also want to come to what Ninad mentioned at the beginning. Technology is a very, very important backbone. Whichever industry you play today, those companies who made investments into technology were able to come and succeed through this pandemic very, very importantly. I come from, Rajeshri, just to correct yourself, my company is Mindtree Limited and consulting is just one arm of it. We are into an IT services. Which providing IT services to the global customers. And last not the least, I just want to also leave people with the fact that on the way you have to make choices. You will be provided multiple opportunities. I made a choice in my early parts of my career that I wanted to be a generalist. And when I say generalist, in the sense I wanted to work very closely with the business, understand business, align with the business. And that probably gave me a path to reaching a CFO position. There is nothing wrong and right about being a generalist versus a specialist. The career paths, what they offer, are different. And at some point of time, as far as you have an aspiration, you know where you want to reach. Based on that, you should make a choice. So if you want to reach a CFO position, probably being a generalist, understanding the business, understanding different components of a finance function will make you successful. If you want to get into a specialist, which you want to become a head of taxation or something, you need to select those choices and spend time. So that's what I would say has been the success mantra so far. And I'll be happy to share some more insights on the way. Back to you, Rajeshi.
Thank you, Vineet. For the interesting insight into how important it is not to get driven by titles and position, because I think these days, I'm not necessarily these days, but I think in general, I think it's very normal to say, oh, but I am the CEO and you're just a tax person. It doesn't matter. I think what matters is essentially how you approach the entire situation that you are faced, how you deal with it, and how essentially you come up. It be failure, so be it, doesn't matter. So thanks for sharing that important aspect, because I think people get a lot who you are and what is his or her position. So I think moving a little bit away from that and remembering that we are all fellow chartered accountants at the end of the day. It's just that our experience, our aspirations, and our passion and our the path that we had chosen gets you to where we are today. And I think that mutual respect is something which one should never forget, because at the end of the day, whether you come from whichever part of the country, and CA as a profession, one huge advantage is from probably Uttar Pradesh or probably southern India. Matter. I can still put in my efforts and I can still become a CA and I can still make something out of my life. Moving away from what we just spoke about, a little bit more now on as a chartered accountant, and it's very typical. I've always come across people, and it's not very unusual, wherein you will find, and I don't mind, and I don't mean to demean anybody or demean any profession, but if you are an MBA, there's an automatic chip on your shoulder, okay? Whereas if I'm a CA, I am like, okay, I am a CA, okay? And the fact fact is you do see a lot of MBAs moving on to starting up startups and probably venturing into private equity and venturing into investment mode and venturing into backing startups. When we do come across, and this is where I'm alluding to you, Ninad, okay, when we do see youngsters, okay, and it could be, of course, not necessarily youngsters, but mostly youngsters and people with a lot of zest and energy who come up with their brilliant ideas and come and present to you, okay, and you put on your VC hat. Below that VC hat, I'm sure the CA is also somebody who looks out for the numbers and probably looks that, okay, this is something which I know is not going to work. How do you really strike that balance? And any experience around that, any story that you would like to share around that? Wherein probably of entrepreneurs want to start something, and when you put on your VC hat, what is it that you actually look out for, and what is it that you would like to convey to aspiring chartered accountants who would want to take on that entrepreneurial journey and who would probably want to start something on their own? What is your take on that?
Sure, Rajeshri, you want me to tell all my secrets? Yes, I will, but I'll make it very brief.
Maybe you can share. It's fine. I said 1 or 2 secrets, doesn't matter. You still have quite a few up your alley.
No, it's an open source world, so it's not a problem, but I will be brief about my response because this I could speak for a lot of more time, but maybe in the next 3 minutes. So you can't change your DNA. So similarly, your basic training is of a chartered accountant, so you can't change that. So however, my friend Vinit mentioned about he chose to be a generalist, and that's how he trained his mind and did further training, and that's how he's gone down the track. But yes, of course, you've qualified as a CA. It's a different business. So CA is probably, and I think it is, the toughest exam in the world. We are early stage VCs. From the number of pitch decks we get, we select 1%, and from every 100 we invest, 1% will succeed. So it's tougher than a CA exam. 1% of 1% is going to succeed. What do we look at? I think, briefly, you're talking about MBAs. This is a moment of reckoning for chartered accountants to do a startup. There's never been a better time for anyone to get into a startup business. The entire ecosystem is working towards success, whether it's the government, whether it's VCs like you chasing money. Capital is chasing ideas. It's never happened in India. Today, it is happening. Capital is chasing ideas. And I have said it earlier, I'll say it again on this platform. India will be the fintech capital of the world. Will CAs play a dominant role in that? They can. Why can they? Because they fundamentally have that training. Why do I say India will be the fintech capital of the world? No other country in the world offers the length and depth and breadth of issues connected to financial services which India offers. And no other country offers a momentous opportunity to ensure that whatever frictions are there can be corrected with startup innovations and ideas. So there you are, massive opportunity waiting for you. What are you waiting for? It is in your mind. And what do I look at when people come to me for startup? Of course, you can go on our website, 100x.vc, and we have given the parameters. But fundamentally, we look at the founders. Do they have the right to, or do they have the passion to succeed? And do they have the right framework to succeed? As a chartered accountant, doing a business is very different. Doing a startup is very different. Startup is a business where you have to scale rapidly. It is not a business meant to just get something good to earn a good living. If that is the case, you become entrepreneurs. The big difference between a startup and entrepreneur. Startup is a journey of wealth. It is not a journey of income. You want a journey of income, go to industry, go to some other CA firm. If you want a journey of wealth, come to startup. It can be so exciting. It can be so thrilling. CAs are the right person to do it. Are they doing it? We are not seeing enough people getting into the fintech sector with CA qualification. I wish there are more. This is your chance. They should do it. So fundamentally, we look at the founder's ability to win. We look at the market size. We look at what unfair advantage or moat they have. And finally, are they doing some product which is, let's say, catering only to consumers in South Bombay? Or is it a product which is a SaaS product catering to solving problems of the world which can scale rapidly? Scale is what you have to think of. And it is exactly opposite of your training. Your training is be conservative. You don't take risk. Startup is exactly opposite. You can do it if you just change your setting in the mind and you'll be able to do it. This is your big opportunity. Go for it.
Actually, maybe I can just add to Ninad's point because you spoke about this healthy debate of MBAs and CAs. And I can only say that there are no such glass ceilings. And all the CAs and the aspiring CAs, I never did MBA, but for most part of my career, I've been hopefully a successful investment banker, and did corporate deals, fundraising, the largest magnitude for Government of India, for the largest business houses, and so on and so forth. So I don't think so there is this that only MBAs will be able to get into investment banking or some of these the glamorous jobs which we call it. I think chartered accountants can also do equally well there. So there shouldn't be any inhibitions in our mind, because again it comes from the basic principle, and some of my panelists already spoke, that the destiny is in your hand. You choose your career. And other thing is, you cannot copy other person's success. You think because this is how Ninad has done or Sanjay has done, maybe I can also do it the same way. It will not happen that way. So I think very important, I just wanted to clear that air that CS can only do certain things and can't do the other things. I think there is equal world which has done, the CAs have also done varied field. You have Shekhar Kapoor, who is a film producer. And then you have Uday Kotak and, the big, chartered accountants who have done phenomenally different fields. So I think we all should carry only two things, in my view. Dhirubhai Ambani said, dare to dream big. And Steve Jobs said, stay hungry and stay foolish. So I think with these things, even CS can achieve everything. And I can tell you, Ninad, there will be many unicorns which will be run by CAs also. I'm very happy, a person like you are spearheading that. But time will maybe prove that.
I'm sure. And, clearly, thanks for sharing your thoughts, Sanjay. That was very much required, because I think this entire healthy debate of MBA versus CA will keep going on. And I think it's required because, normally for us as chartered accountants, we just need that one little push and that one little nudge, and then, we're there. So, because at the end of the day, we know exactly how do you read a balance sheet, right? It's and I'm not saying that MBAs do whatever, I'm not getting into that, but it's just a fact that we need to have faith. There are not hundreds of and we get that. Yes, we want to get there. I think that's a question of personal choice and from not share. Coming back to, I think, this entire entrepreneurial journey and the fact that, how one would actually view what's happening around and dependence on technology. I will now, also like to pick on Vineet and, try to get a sense. Being, one is, of course, a cultural change when you look at a large integration, because, you're talking of two large conglomerates or two large, and of course, Pinky has also seen a lot of that. My question, or probably just a thought in terms of, and maybe y'all could just share your perspectives and your thoughts around it on your experience. What would typically, as a CFO or as a finance person, what is the kind of data and how important is that data that needs to come to your table, okay? And how do you really ensure that's there? Because at the end of the day, it's all what is there in front of us, and it is all data that is in front of you to take the strategic and business. When I say business, it's not just because at the end of the day, finance supports business. Without finance, business will not be in a position to take that call. So, a CEO today will take that call, but believe me, he or she will not move even an inch forward without getting that one nod from the CFO. And that is where I want to get a sense. So over to you, Vineet. What is the kind of data that you will actually have with you and probably look for before you board and before the strategic discussions with your team, people, your superiors? So, Vineet.
Yeah, thanks. So I'll just give an anecdotal statement to what you said. It's very important, that today in our life, in a CFO job, there is huge amount of data that comes in, and your span of attention obviously keeps on going less compared to what it should be. But the way I look at it is that at the end of the day, CFO is like if your CEO is, let's say, driving the car, the CFO's role is basically of a rear view mirror. The CEO cannot look at the rear view mirror and drive the car, but at the same time, he cannot ignore the rear view mirror while driving the car. So that's the role of the CFO, and exactly what you said, that he needs that sort of a push or the final sort of a yes, no about the data. But my take is slightly different on that. One, obviously, the data is always historic. It tells you what has happened. The most important part is the forward-looking data in terms of telling what is likely to happen. That's the first important part in terms of the data that needs to be told. Because, we are all wiser in hindsight, and it's very easy to tell what has happened. I think so. We are all very well literate, and being a chartered accountants, everybody knows the numbers very well. So it's not point in telling what has happened, but it's important what you tell. The second part which you need to also remember is that along with the data, there are lagging indicators and important forward-looking indicators. Your stress has to more lay on the fact about how these forward-looking indicators, is it a one-time blip or is it a continuous trend? Those are the indicators which you should be able to sort of tell him if your P&L is looking like this as of, let's say, the June quarter, how it's going to look for the next 3 quarters. I think so he will be more interested in telling and listening to those data indicators which tell what is the forward-looking P&L. Because, your decisions are always made on forward-looking or more of forward-looking business. And you can't correct what has happened. You can only correct the future course of action. So that's how I would put it. The second part is many times, and this is a part of one important criteria which every CA should possess, particularly when you are moving up the ladder. It's very easy to tell the problem statement. Your data will probably also tell, so you don't need to stress upon it again. What is important for you to be successful on your journey is that if you are able to tell what's the solution to that problem. Let's not assume that the CEO is having everything, he knows everything. He depends upon various people. He's basically connecting the dots across his various team members in terms of making business decisions. So if everybody goes to your CEO and tells the problem and make him solve the problem, your first in your first statement itself, you are laying down a foundation for your downward journey to start. A CEO will be appreciative of the fact if you are able to tell him what is the solution and how you are able to solve it, and give him options. It should not be just my way or a highway sort of a thinking. You have to give him 2-3 options, tell the pros and cons of each option, and within those options, what you recommend and why do you recommend. I'm telling you, this will be the biggest. If you are able to nail this quality, you will be the most successful person and very quickly successful in your organization, whichever part of it. Second part is, in the initial, it's also a cultural alignment. You need to understand who is your audience. When you are making a presentation or if you try to speak, by nature, by training, we are trained to speak a technical language about debits and credits. And not everyone understands the debits credits part of it. So you should be able to translate yourself and be able to speak the business language of it. So instead of calling provisions, if you can say accruals, I think so that aligns. So you need to pick up some of the important aspects of what your audience likes or what your audience understands. And that is an important successful step that you need to get into your journey. Third part, you also need to understand the culture of your organization. As I said, in my throughout my career, I have worked with fantastic companies, all great companies. I never found culture as an ever constraint. Yes, in the initial days, you may have to take some extra effort to break down some of these things. Today, when you look at Mindtree, it's an IT services entrepreneurial mindset company. If I look at L&T, it's an engineering company which has doesn't work unless until you see, touch, and feel. While our industry operates on all virtual reality. But the important part is how are you able to articulate, how are you able to present yourself, how are you able to put a particular point. And as I said, don't go with a problem statement, go with a solution around it. And if you are able to get these things done, you'll be able to break the glass barrier and able to make progress. And last, I'll just say, it's not necessary that you have to, if you are not able to succeed, does not mean you'll never be able to succeed. Sometimes for certain people, certain cultures, it takes probably 2 or 3 more extra attempts before you are able to break the things. So have these are to be practiced. No coaching class, no training class, no course will teach you. These are all to be practiced and applied. That's how I would put it.
Rashri, I would like to echo what Vinit said completely. Because the role of the CFO is not just merely an account keeping or a bookkeeping, and the compliance and all these things. The role has completely changed in last, decades, in the sense that we are a part and a partial with the CEOs in all these strategic initiatives, And the other thing which Vinit said is that no longer in historical data, the role of the CFO important plays in giving them the real-time data, so that enables the CEO and CFO to take the timely decisions. I should have a real data. I can able to do lots of stimulations, lots of the sensitivity analysis to understand the impact on the profitability or to the revenue, to be very frank. I think that's a very key role of the CFO, that how he gets the real-time data to enable to take the right decisions, to be very frank. So the scope has entirely changed. You need to take otherwise the technology, the people felt the CFO's no role, only the CRO has to play, how it can help the distributors, how it can help the customers in their journey and all these things. But in finance also, the technology clearly plays an important role, and how we align to that as a CFO and we set our mindsets properly, that more and more so, the more time goes not in the collections of the data, but in analyzing the data and to understand the impact of that, and to take the right decisions at the right time,
Absolutely. And very rightly said, and I think Vinit also touched upon that, clearly the CFO is no longer just a finance person. He or she is going to be part of that team, which is essentially going to take those strategic decisions when you look at business, be it acquisition, be it downsizing, be it merger, whatever. It could be anything, including incubating a startup. And that, kind of brings me to one other interesting point. And Pinky, I take that from your conversation right now when you said, customers, distributors, vendors, etc. I will just now veer towards Sanjay, and I just want to get a sense, yes, it's nice, clearly being the CFO of an FMCG company, which has more than, I wouldn't even get into the numbers. I don't know how many distributors, how many stockists, and how many vendors, and, the numbers that we have. How do you really ensure, again, now data, what is relevant for Vinit and for Pinky may be a little different for you. So would you like to share about what is it that, how is it that you are like on top of your numbers when you get into the office or when you walk into the boardroom?
Yeah. So I think every business is different, and there are certain, as Pinky said, there are certain real-time data on which you need to be, because business is very challenging, and you have to be ahead of others, and you have to take care of your employees and all stakeholders for that matter. So I think for FMCG industries, we are a cash, the whole business is fast moving. And therefore, you need to, as Ninad and Vineet have been talking about, I think technology has really changed everything. Today, the 2,500 salespeople, we at like 5:20 p.m. can exactly tell you how much sales has happened by each individual person, which geographical location is he standing, how long has he been standing there, what orders has he taken. So I think the first and the foremost thing is an eye on cash, how the cash is moving across India, in the sense how much sales have happened, how much cash we're going to collect today, how much cash is going to be deployed in payment to vendors and stuff like that. So I think cash flows statements is one of the most important thing. And the second thing is you need to make sure that the entire 2,500 salespeople in our case say they are productive. We have to ensure that the supply chain, which we have 23 factories across India, how are they connecting to our 32 depots across India? So I think the data is at different points, whether it is at the sales location, whether it is at the factory's location, and you have to have a full grip of the cash flow. You have to have a full grip of how you can use technology. I think going forward, I think it's already been spoken. The finance professional needs to be well ahead of the technology which they can use to no more bank reconciliations need to be done by taking ledger copies and doing bank reconciliation in Excel and stuff like that. It's all done automatically these days. So what you need to do is keep a very good eye on cash flow and use the technology to the maximum extent, because then only you will be ahead of others.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's well said. And when, having heard Vineet, having heard Pinky, having heard you, is technology and the fact that, all this, are these just luxuries and just because you're a large organizations, or is it something where even a mid-sized company, or for that matter, a small business can also leverage? So I would want to hear from Ninad, and if you can share your perspective, of course, and I would later get into how does he really find time for pursuing his passion and his hobbies. That's something which I will touch upon. But before that, I just wanted to get, Ninad, your perspective in terms of, is technology and investment in technology a luxury, or is that something that even the small to mid-sized entrepreneurs can aspire and really look forward to and ensure that they do that, take that step?
Sure. So let me just speak a little bit about CFO and CEO and CA. I think CAs today should aspire to become CEOs and don't acquire skills to only reach CFO and say, I have reached the pinnacle of my career. It's wrong. You are capable of becoming CEOs. You can become and you should become. The skill sets may be different. CEOs say everything in poetry and CFOs in prose. So you have to learn that difference. It's not difficult, but yes, in the mind, you should do it. Yeah, coming back to your question, and we can have a debate on this if required, but I think CAs should have that mindset of becoming CEOs, not just stopping at CFO saying, I'm a CEO, I become a CFO. Now, coming back to a question on, again, on technology and medium scale and large and individuals, I think at all levels, it is critical. You've got a large audience here. Each one of you, and all of you are obviously CAs, do you know how blockchain is going to change your life? Do you know how AI and ML is going to change your life? If you do not know, please make an effort, whether it's institute courses, there's so much of free course available to figure out how it is going to change your life in the next 18 months. You'll be surprised to know even some of these fundamental technologies are going to make such a massive impact. You as an individual, if you're in a profession, as a profession, if you're in industry, as an industry. And unless you make an effort yourself understanding it, it is not going to, you will not be able to embrace it. It is inevitable. You have today, not because now geography is history, you are going to provide services sitting anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world. You have, if you are in practice today, it's faceless assessment. If you don't have to go to a run to a court to argue a case, to represent something. So there is advantage and disadvantage. Advantage, you can sit in a remote location and give services anywhere in India. in fact, anywhere in the world. It will be accepted. This was not the case even 5 years back. And the contrary, you will get competition from anywhere, smaller places where the person has embraced technology, has embraced all the latest stuff, and he or she will provide you competition. So understand, it is a double-edged sword. It is giving you fantastic opportunities. At the same time, if you do not embrace it, you will be dead. It's no longer a question of an option. It's, do you want to be alive or do you want to be dead? It's as simple as that. And it is not at all difficult. Whatever age you are as a chartered accountant, you can relearn. It's not at all difficult. There's so much available on the internet. Just pick up these technologies, figure out how to do it. I'm not saying start learning coding. It is not possible, because coding is if you can, you should. If you're a young chartered accountant, learn some coding, not to do coding, but just to understand how it is going to change, how it can impact so many things, and how it is going to make such a big difference. But yes, you need not do that, but at least at a broader level, we should understand all this. So yes, it's a big impact. You cannot only bury your head in the latest tax amendments, accounting standards, and regulations. That is a hygiene factor. You are a chartered accountant. It is given that you will know it. Rise above that and figure out how technology is making an impact. And in your mind, you should have an ambition to become a CEO. All of you, by the sheer dint of the fact that you pass these exams, are eminently qualified. It is not that you're not qualified. It's about your perception of what you can do. It's about how you train your mind and how you relearn new skills, and you will become.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Ninad. So clearly it's all about, and as I think Ninad also earlier had stated, learning is the only constant in our lives, right? And I think who better than chartered accountants, because we have been through that rigorous training. We know what it takes to, so we've been through that difficult phase in our life. The fact is, you keep reskilling yourself, learn, you are aware of what's happening around you, both in the business, economy, and otherwise. Believe me, I think sky is the limit. On that note, and basis what Ninad just mentioned, I will, again, probably before I come to you, Ninad, I just want to understand from Vineet, what would Vineet do? Okay. On a day when he's not looking at balance sheets, when he's not looking at technology, when he's not looking at MIS, what is it that motivates you to get back with that zest and rigor on a Monday morning? So, it's obviously, yes, spend time with family, all of that is fine, but there has to be something that Vineet also likes, right? So something on that, Vineet. Your hobbies or want to do.
Yeah, honestly, in this last 15 months since the pandemic hit, honestly, there is no Monday. Every day is a Monday. So we are all working like a 24/7 because the activities, etc., are very limited in terms of what you can do. But from a passion perspective, I play squash, so that sort of is a stress buster for me. It also allows me to be to improve my reflexes. That is one of the important. You have to react. Just knowing a problem is not going to solve it. Solving a problem is going to solve it. So the reflexes are very important to understand and take action. Second, I read a lot. As I said, I both from a books perspective as well as from both on technology, management, etc. I read a lot, and at the same time, I also go through the internet and learn a lot about management, etc. From a fun perspective, I'm very attracted towards doing online activities, adventure sports. I've done tandem skydiving in my past. I have that passion after watching this Zindagi Na Mile Dobara movie to run in front of the bulls. I believe that if I do that, I'll be able to face any board very, very fearlessly. Now my job doesn't allow me to take some of these risks because you're a part of the important. You have a lot of responsibilities are in your shoulders, so you have to be very careful on some of these things. But these are the fun parts of it. You need to bring in some fun, learn, keep on. I like watching action-packed movies because our everyday is also so much action, so you have to also look at how others manage the action. You have to put yourself into that hero's role and how he manages to get over the evil. So that also is another way of looking at a lot of these things. And as I said, keep on learning. I think so. This is nothing. I have another passion. I travel a lot. I like to travel a lot to different places. And one of the fun thing I do normally is I never take the sophisticated limousines when I travel. I normally go through the public transportation because that tells you and makes you learn about the city a lot. So I walk and take the public transportation to travel to different places and learn a lot of things. Obviously, I do a lot of study before taking those risks in terms of understanding whether it's safe or not safe. So that's how I would say these are one of the things that I typically do to keep myself motivated apart from work.
That's nice. And what's one thing that's important is like if I were to look at CFO, CEO role, essentially we all believe that we cannot take a day off, right? We just cannot invest in ourselves, or we cannot invest time in what we believe is our passion or something that we like. And that is where, I've heard a lot about, yes, we need to be constantly learning, reskilling ourselves. And I'm sure that all of you do that and probably are already doing it, is killing off the I would not term it, succession planning is too big. I wouldn't really get into those fancy terms. But the fact that when I am away from my desk, I must have somebody, okay, who takes care of at least the basic stuff or ensure that while I'm not there or when I need a day off, there is somebody behind you out there who can step in and who can deliver at least and keep the business going. When I say business going, obviously depends on the role and what the responsibilities are. So training and learning is not just training and learning yourself, but it is also about building your team. It is typically a push and pull theory. Light the fire under your boss's chair so that he or she moves up the ladder and you can occupy that. Ensure that you pull your team up so that when you move out from that position, your junior or your subordinate or reportee occupies that position. And that mantra, I think, applies to everyone, and I'm sure everybody does it. It's just that I'm just talking about it. On that note, I just want to know from Pinky, what is it that Pinky really, on a day when, I know you have family responsibilities, kids' education, your girls have now, one of them is also getting into becoming a CA. While you do all of that, what is that one thing that Pinky would like, leave as something to look forward to by this audience, something that aspires them, something that motivates them? Because most of the times what happens is a lot of people, when they come and they look forward to joining organizations, people only look at their profile and they say, oh, but this person doesn't have the experience. Oh, but this person has not done this kind of a job. How do you really break that? How can you really tackle that? Is that something that, how would Pinky do it?
Yeah, Rashri, a very good question. This question is very close to my heart. See, after spending almost 30 years in this profession, I think we all, all the seniors needs to be a good mentor, We need to carry our team together, We have to give them, quite authority. They should, take the decisions and own the responsibility of that decisions, You should have a trust and faith in them, But everything about that should be a value driven. So your values, we should never compromise and we should never allow them to compromise. They should be able to take a calculated risk, to be very frank. So according to me, as a senior, it is my duty, because the way we have grown up, because our seniors have kept the trust on us, they have tested our skills, they have given us the opportunity to grow. See, equally at these positions, that is also becomes one of my duty, that how I train my juniors, So they also take up the decisions. They, also take the calculated risk. They owe, and every morning, even they should feel, come to the office, for the work. It should not, they should have a fire in their belly. They should also come out with the good new ideas, And it is our responsibility that how we bridge the gap. If they need some talent, or they need some of the knowledge and all these things, how as a senior in the organizations, with the help of the HR, I, give them such kind of a bridge gap of their skill sets and all these things. So according to me, this also plays an important, for the leader, I think not you being, able to, drive the, the organizations, but how you carry your team, how you, groom up your team, to take the hard responsibility. So you in turn can take the hard responsibility. That is also an equal responsibility being the senior.
Absolutely. And in fact, it's sometimes there are the people who do say that leadership is all about leading from behind, right? You carry your team along with you and ensure that everyone in your flock also reaches their destination wherever they aspire to be. Yes, I know it's very difficult. Yes, I know practically there are a lot of challenges, but that's what life is. And that's what we CAs are always ready for, right? Nobody knows how many, look at the past percentages. Look at the way we go through the rigors of our training. Look at the way the exams, are conducted. We are tested on every specific legislation. Of course, it's a different thing. Maybe now Institute also is gearing up, and in fact, Institute is also moving forward in terms of looking at different areas in terms of where we in forensics, cybersecurity. That is also, these are the areas that clearly Institute is also laying a lot of focus on. Having clearly touched upon in terms of teaming, your passion, pursuing your passion, finding that time for yourself. Sanjay, how would you kind of look at, there are times where you feel that there is no one who I talk to. Fact is, there could be rules. Do you reach out to your fellow chartered accountants, and they may not necessarily be in in your organization, but in general, do you reach out? Do you talk? And does Sanjay really break that barrier and say, no, let me just pick up the phone and let me reach out and understand how would so and so person deal with a situation like that? So what I'm trying to get at is, sometimes, a little bit of consulting. And when I say consulting, not consultants, a little bit of conversations within your CFO group or your fellow CFOs or people who are in, maybe CEOs in smaller businesses or CEOs in large organizations. And I wouldn't really, slot them as mentors. But if I were to just at least think about certain situation that we get into, and if I were to pick up the phone, so does Sanjay do that ever? Or does Sanjay believe that, no, I have to solve every problem on this earth on my own?
No. I'm no superhuman being. I'm no Superman. And see, as I said in the beginning, we all have to remain as students. And like how in our student days, we would always do joint study, right? I think that joint study still continues. Now, today I've got to know Vineet, and maybe I'm trying to do something on an IT project for my company. I'll pick up Vineet. I'll call him up. And I'm sure if he's doing something for some consumer company, he will call me up. I think as society, we all rely on each other. And again, I will come back to technology. Now you have got this WhatsApp group. So you have a WhatsApp group of my FMCG industry, you have a CFO WhatsApp group, you have a college friends group, you have my Anderson or my Kalani group, and you can post anything and people are so happy. Now, I've got a HBS group. So it is very natural that all of us take help of each other. Like I'm sure today when people are listening to this conversation, they are only listening because they want to learn from each other. None of us are expert. And see, the best thing is, where again I will go back to my parents who actually got me done the CA, is we have got a lifelong insurance policy now, right? With CA being with us, nothing can go wrong. My membership number will remain, and I can do something or the other in my life to remain successful. So I can keep taking as much risk as I want, right? And keep doing, keep trying, take help from others. And again, my second, point which I said, Mr. Reiki taught us, keep helping others and you'll keep getting the help. So I think out there, we should never shy from taking help from others. We should always be not trouble people, but at least it's not that you pass on your homework to somebody else, but there is never a harm to take help from others and learn from others, because you will refine that problem, and maybe that person will also get help out of that. So I'm always there. I will always be calling up Pinky now, Vineet, Ninad, and Rashri, you. So please expect my call.
Sure, look forward to that. Yeah, sure. So what would Sanjay be caught doing on a weekend at a time when, suppose, there is some time off from reading balance sheets and looking at numbers? What would Sanjay be doing?
Actually, you should be asking this thing to my wife, but I think you were asking somebody else. I wanted to say pre-CA days and post-CA days is what you should ask us. So maybe pre-CA days, it was, all fun in life, but I think post-CA days had been, I know it sounds very boring, is to read annual reports, So, a lot of annual reports come to home, and, I would love to read them as much as I can. The other thing which is, maybe, time has taught, is to learn or is to read autobiographies. I think I've read a large number of autobiographies in my life, and which is again goes back to your earlier question, how do you take help? You should always take help from others, like how that money plant tree is there, right? It grows with the help, and therefore, if you will find me on a Sunday, two things: one, maybe reading annual reports or reading autobiographies, or calling a lot of people, and people who you have not connected. See if you can do something. Always, when we are growing up, take up something of your profession. Like I've been part of the Rotary, and try to see if you can do something good in somebody's life. So I think those are things, may not sound that great what Vineet said, but for me it's very basic, around the society, around the family, in that manner.
Well, thanks for that. So, Ninad, the passion for theatre, okay, and it's very nice to know. I mean, and the fact that also kind of ensure that you take the time out for pursuing your passion, which is also so very important for every professional to keep themselves going. Apart from when did this kind of what was that one I would say the game changer, or probably that one event which is always very close to your heart, and something that made you think that this is what I want to do? I mean, yes, it is an ever evolving kind of a scenario, but that one incident which will always remain, and it'll never fade out of your memory. So something on those lines, Ninad, if you could share.
Sure. So, I'll tell briefly about the story. I come from a place, my family comes from a place close to Goa. It's in Maharashtra. It's around 1 hour away from Goa. It's a coastal place called Vengurla. And I'd gone for Ganesh festival, which is very popular. And there I saw all houses are open. People just walk in and out on the festival. More importantly, there are groups of people who go from house to house singing bhajans, don't take any money at all. It is just such a cultural thing. And that's the time I said, anyone in whichever place you're located, I always urge people to say, support any local art or culture. It's in Calcutta, Cochin, Delhi. You need to support. How do you support? By just going there, attending. I tell people, come to my play, support my play by just coming there. That's it. No one else, I'm not asking. So that was a of self-realization that I'm not doing anything at all in Mumbai for so long for anything local. So I zoomed on to theatre because I thought, theatre is such a difficult profession for the actors, for people to make money, and it is live. So it gives a lot of satisfaction. So yes, Sundays, whichever Unfortunately, theater is shut now, and hopefully it should reopen. COVID will be behind us. But each one of you should support a local art or a culture. It is important, critical as chartered accountants. And that's how I started supporting theater. And when I said support, I said I must do it seriously, not just so. I've actually put in money and produced, so I'm a co-producer of 2 plays. It's a difficult business, but it gives great joy. So I love to watch theater. And of course, you mentioned Formula One racing in the beginning, so that's something I deeply cherish.
Wow. Wow, that's nice. So, Vineet, anything, one kind of the game changer or life, I wouldn't really say life turning event.
I'm sorry, Rajeshri, I couldn't hear you in the last year. Can you just repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. So I said that one game changer, or for that matter, one life turning event, which will never fade from Vineet's memory. And that personal, your passion, hobby, anything, but something which will always remain close to Vineet, the person he is.
There are so many. I can't really pick on one as a game changer because it has been
something
a
which is
constant
on top of your head right now.
No, I think so. See, I in my one of my I'll talk it from a professional perspective. I was working with a large multinational bank, and honestly, you need a different DNA if you want to work in a bank compared to the corporates. It's a working style is far different. Initially, I tried to align, but when I realized, that the technical challenges that I have been throughout groomed in my life were missing, and it was just after my general management from MIT, I wanted to get into an entrepreneurial one. I just took a very, very conscious call of saying, I don't want to remain because you are getting paid well. This is not the time in my career where I want to, if I continue like this, I'll probably unlearn whatever I have done in my life so far. So despite of getting very well paid, which many people will from an external world will call it as a stupid decision, I took a call to voluntarily resign, and I didn't have any job in hand or nothing, but I just had few ideas. I said, let me explore that entrepreneurship. I'll try to get back to corporate world because that's where I enjoy, but even if it's not, and at that point of time, I took a very, my family into confidence. My kids were, I wouldn't say matured, they were still in the early teens, so I had to tell them that whatever we have been enjoying for the last couple of years, there might be a break into that. You may have to, I'll ensure that your education, your clothes, everything doesn't stop, but some fun part of it, some luxury part of it may not be available for some point of time. I ensure that my financial position has a 2-year reserve being built, plus my loans are completely paid off. And that decision, I was hovering around. I planned for it 2 years ahead of time. But when I came to a situation, I took that call saying, no, I want to do something different. I want to learn. That's how. And this is not what I want to continue. After leaving, I was in a 6 months period where I didn't have any job, any income. But what I did was one of the question people used to say, work for a publicly listed company. So I went to Bombay Stock Exchange, did a course on raising capital. I worked with a company consulting, a startup company actually, and helped them define their organization structure in terms of how they should structure it and how they can look at it. And that I would say, gave me a very, very credible stand that, you will face challenges, but, I have a confidence that I'll be able to pass through it very successfully without any stress. Honestly, first 15 days when I left my job and I didn't have anything, it was a fantastic, you could get up, no emails, tension, nothing. And after 16 days, my hand started shivering because, I started feeling there is missing. There were no mails, no follow-ups, no pressure on you. And that said, now if I continue sitting at home, it's not going to work. So I worked with this consulting startup company and helped them in doing consulting. It was not a paid job, but it helped me in terms of keeping engaged, learning, and helping drive down what I think is my passion for life. So I think so that I would consider as one of the game-changing event in my life. So
Wow. That was nice. That was really nice. I think for me, the key learning and the takeaway in this was get out of your comfort zone, but at the same time, don't remain in a place where you know you're going to stagnate, right? Take that risk, as Ninad had always said, take that risk. And have faith in yourself. You know that we are, at the end of the day, given the learning that we have had as chartered accountants, we will make it. It's just a question of unlearning something, learning a new skill set, and moving on. Great. Pinky, how one life-turning event? Pinky, you're on mute. You're on
The
mute,
life
Pinky.
turning event 2017 was very bad for me. In fact, that in our house we 4 pillars were there. I have a maid servant who worked with me for 3 years. My mother-in-law, my husband, and myself. We will to look after my 2 kids. All of a sudden, I lost my servant, who was virtually handling the full house affairs, and all these things, and helping my mother-in-law in swine flu for 1 month. My husband fell sick, and we were in and out in ICU, and in hospital, ICU, and hospital, ICU, and hospital, almost for 4 months. My mother-in-law, only in a short, sickness, all of a sudden she died. I really don't know. And I had my new job where I was declared as a CF of Aditya Birla Capital, because we merged Aditya Birla Novo into Grasim. We carved out Aditya Birla Capital, conglomerate for the group for handling all the financial services business. So that was a new role in which, and I was a maid in all these mergers, demergers, acquisitions. I had to list my company. So Rashri, my days were very bad, and my younger one was on 10th standard. I really don't know that how I have passed. Even the tears never used to come in my eyes. I only used to pray, God, give me strength, give me strength. The days were very bad for me, very bad for me. But I never lost the courage and the faith in the God, And I could overcome everything to be. But I had a tough time. At that point of time, somebody would have quit the job. But I maintained the balance both between the work and my life. It was a new job. It was a challenging job. I had to set up the full department over a year. Right from accounts to the MIS to the legal to the secretarial. But I did that job because I had faith in myself. I had faith in God, that God will give me courage. There is no point in crying.
Sure. And Pinky, just a small, question out here. At that point in time, when you were actually going through this extremely difficult phase in your life, did you not also have a chat with your employer? Did you not make them aware of the
supportive
situation
of me? Yes. In fact, I had discussions, and they were extremely supportive of me, to be very frank. And when I used to visit office, they used to fire me that why you came. Your first duty is, to attend to your husband, at Bridge Candy Hospital. But fortunately, what had happened that my parents, I had a good support of my parents, and my parents' house just opposite the Bridge Candy Hospital. So they said, Beta, you take care of your house and your job. Leave it to us. He's our son only. Otherwise, my husband had a very critical time, to be very. It was really, it is a new birth for him, Rashri. Even if I'll remember all that things of now, really the tears will come in my eyes.
Sure.
Tough time. I lost my mother-in-law, lost my maid servant. 30 years he was with me. It was like an elder son to my mother-in-law. Past such kind of a phase. So only message I'm trying to give you, that such kind of phase will come in everybody's life, But you should have a strength and a courage to get up. Have a faith in yourself and a faith in a God.
Absolutely. So just, as Pinky rightly said, it is important that when we are working in an organization, have a chat with your employer, have a chat with your organization, because they will support you. Okay, because don't assume that you're alone in a battle, and that battle could be anything. It could be your professional, your personal, whatever. It's always good to have those conversations, and believe me, support will come in. How it comes in, I think, is just a question of the time and probably that particular moment, but we are there. And I think when I say we are there, it's basically as human beings and as chartered accountants, believe me, if there is a solution. It's just a question of think through, talk, and you'll get out of it. Sanjay, anything for you which was a life changer and a game changer?
It was more of a life changer. Like how Pinky has some personal moments. For me, it was my father's dream that I do CA, and I do CA from the best firm in the world. So I came from Rajasthan, Jaipur after my graduation and got admission in Arthur Andersen, which was a very difficult process because they would prefer taking people from Sydenham and NM and all of that. So an outsider coming into Bombay and getting in the world best CA firm, Arthur Andersen, was a life changer. And after that, I think everything kept going on. So only one message I want to give there, which is which I remember now, which is from Harivansh Rai Bachchan poem, that लहरों से डर कर नाव नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती. So I think if we remember this, because getting into Andersen was tough, but then once I kept trying, and again thanks to my mother and my uncles, they really kept it on, and I got in, and rest is history. So keep trying, my friends, and one should read this poem ever in doubt also. Thank you.
It's been really a wonderful session for each of you sharing your success stories, your journey, and the difficulties that you faced in life, personal, professional. I think it was really very, very nice because it was honest, true, and something that all of us can associate with. Thank you very much for that. I will now move to Mr. C.A. Hansraj Chugji. There are questions. Mr. Rangnathan, any questions? I don't see anything in the chat box.
I don't find there is any question. Let us conclude. And definitely it's a time for me also to thank each and everyone. Friends, it's really been so many things to learn with. Whether the courage one has to in the difficult time, the time definitely never goes in the one direction. Things are sometime definitely goes all positivity around us, and sometime it goes in a difficult manner also. But during a difficult time, if you can manage it, so then that is the selling through to the bigger level. Moving towards the bigger direction, that the so many good words has come from the everyone, definitely, whether it during the challenging time, whether shifting from the one job to the other, or in the private life or personal life also, at your home place also you get some difficulties, then also things how to be taken care of. Faith in the God, faith in oneself, and faith in the environment around you also, that matters. In your family, friends, surroundings, everything matters in the life. Definitely bigger ideas has come from the each and everyone, which I personally feel. So it is not me, each and every participants maybe fully feeling so. Environment has to be a desire booster. We must be ourselves feeling like self-motivated. Motivation from the surroundings also really been making you more stronger, empowered by so many things which you get from the others also, that makes the difference. And today, friends, we are being empowered, we are being made more stronger by each and everyone. If we talk about the Pinky Mehta, the way she she shared her own things, and she, in spite of so many difficulties, and more so for our female members, we all have to understand with when we qualified, or Pinky may have qualified, the number of the female members were hardly any one maybe 1 or 2%. Now it is almost 40%, and moving towards the time is not far when they will be overnumbered. So that time will be not far. So that is the journey we our society has moved in, and it is good for the open up society. This is the good part. Ki India has grown with the means and with the visions. Ki we have no different as far as the these kind of things are concerned. Pinky, I am very grateful and thankful to you for bringing out so many things in the minds of each and every participants. And I am also been feeling so proud ki yes, so many good things. Even if the odd times goes in, then also I have a same kind of story. I came to Delhi from a small place in UP, and I was a science graduate, and no words like no debit or credit. And believe me, I got the highest marks in my accounts. Accounts I got 88 marks in my time, and in direct tax I got 82 marks in my time. That was the basically, you see, like the courage comes in. Once you don't have the way, you find either you have to move, you have to keep on moving. So that is basically the things, the fire in the belly, fire inside, and the something which inspires you, which makes you to happen with. So those things comes in the everyone's life. Those becomes the turning point, and that carries not only you, that carries along you, your family also, your friends also, and the others also along with you. The other peoples also learn so many things from you. Sanjay ji, I can well understand with from a journey that you have traveled with, and now we can find you a place. Yes, it's a though difficulty comes in, but there is a way and the means, and you yourself with the strength of your mind, strength of your intellect, strength of the energy you have gained in the process of achieving to the bigger level, and that will be guiding factor for the participants also. Vineet, definitely a time has come in between when he has stayed back at your home for number of days and then came up again, giving the direction to the life. And so many good things you have shared with each and everyone, and now leading to the, as a CFO with the Mindtree, a company which everyone know, those who have been into the news also at a different point of time for number of reasons. So basically it's a encouragement for the participants, and feeling like that, it's a you see, like 20% comes from the those areas only, those things only. Whatsoever you get in between, whatsoever you get from your own, unless you have the surroundings of that nature, or you get so many informations of inspirations from the others, you cannot wake up in that fashion. So these are basically, and Ninad, I know the way he has traveled his journey, and the way we have learned already been there in different programs with the ICAI. I know him personally. So I can feel like the experience, the methodology, the leading from the front, so many good things he has shared with each and every participant, and these are the words I'll also, on behalf of the each and every participants, and on my own behalf and on behalf of the Committee for Member Industry and Business, I'm very grateful and thankful to each one of you. Moderator Rajeshri, the way she has took and lead coming in different of the questions, the way she has put the question to each and every panelist, those are the methods by which you understand how the communication matters in the life, how the question which you raise with that impacts to make the others to understand with. So I am very grateful and thankful to Rajeshri also, and each and every participants has to understood with the journey is not by oneself. Getting the things from the others makes you and give you the direction which is moving towards in the different way. So I am very grateful and thankful to the each and every participants for making this a successful program, for the successful journey of so many, and mantra which we have received from the industry's top leadership, that is basically overall holistic view has come in. So I'm very grateful and thankful to the each and every participants, and to the secretariat of the committee headed by Ranganathanji, who has made this coordination and everything done in a nicely manner. My co-chairman Durgesh Kabraji also, he has joined us, and today really been a wonderful program with each one of us. And the team at the technical side also, they are been giving us the best of the technical support. I'm very grateful and thankful to them also. And over to now we look forward for the other programs where if naturally each and every resource person like panelist and the moderator, I'm feeling that whenever we need them, they will be there with us. With these kind of remarks, I'm very grateful and thankful to each one of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot to the.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you,
Much.
everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.